couple of years, everyone, Ferrari included, has failed miserably. That hasn't stopped people wanting to give it a go. Now, Michelle Newman has been following one of the new teams in its quest to get on the grid this Sunday in Brazil.
For the last 12 months, Top Gear have been following the Pacific team, better known in the lower formulas of single-seater racing. But now they've decided to take the big step from the relative security of success in Formula 3000 to the unknown territory of Formula One. This is the car that will take Britain's Pacific team into the world of Grand Prix racing. Since they began 10 years ago, the Pacific Racing Team have won everything they've entered, from Formula 4 through Formula 3 to winning the Formula 3000 Championship in 1991. The success has meant an opportunity for young, talented drivers to get started on the road to the top. Formula 1 stars Christian Fittipaldi and JJ Leto both drove with Pacific. Keith Wiggins, the chairman and team owner, has seen many of his protégés move up the ranks. His latest Formula 3000 driver, David Coulthard, has just assumed Damon Hill's mantle as Williams test driver. Keith Wiggins has risked everything for this opportunity to break into Formula One. He has to find millions of pounds in sponsorship and find drivers who can bring money as well as their skills to the team. Last August's Belgian Grand Prix at Spa was a chance for him to approach drivers and lobby sponsors. Pacific are aiming for a modest budget, a mere $4 million, compared to the reputed £40 million for big players like Williams and McLaren. It's a mammoth task, which means that compromises have to be made. Drivers can't be chosen just on merit. Prospective drivers like Bertrand Gachot have preliminary discussions, as do sponsors, but nothing is finalised. Unlike the top teams, each of them will be expected to bring in a third of the budget. By the same token, Keith has to persuade them that the car he's building is worth their investment. For Paul Belmondo, sitting behind the wheel for Pacific means paying for the privilege of driving. It's a balancing act of good drivers versus sound finance. Away from the wheeling and dealing, the bits and pieces have started to arrive at the team's headquarters to build Pacific's first Formula One car. It's rather like putting a giant Airfix kit together, but a lot more expensive. Ilmor Engineering is building the engines to power the team's new car. No freebies here. Unlike Williams and McLaren, who don't pay for theirs, Pacific's 4 engines per race will cost $2 million plus. But one big advantage the team has this year has been the banning of super technology. For this season, there are a whole batch of rule changes set to remove some of the incredibly expensive driver aids that have crept in over the last few years. First of all, gone is the active suspension system that electronically adjusted the height of the car above the track during a race. Gone too are anti-lock brakes, so smoky tyres will make a comeback. Traction control also gets the elbow. This season, it's no longer possible for drivers to put their foot to the floor and expect the computer to sort out the 700 plus horsepower. The successful driver of this season will need a sensitive right foot. The car's first public appearance, and despite securing some sponsorship and signing Gachot and Belmondo, January was an expensive month for Pacific. Never mind the initial deposit of over £300,000, there's an entry fee too of over £60,000.
We're up and running, but we're still going to have to work very hard. It's not an easy task finding money, and I think that the biggest problem that we had was I spent the last 3 months chasing British money, and unfortunately British money isn't there for Formula One.
So it's all dependent on success in Brazil. Presumably they'll be clamoring at your door, will they?
Yeah, we have potential sponsors that are waiting to see what happens in Brazil, without a doubt. And I think that once we've proved ourselves, once we've proved the cars are reliable and competitive, we will find that you will see new names on the car.
There are some British companies, though, who are prepared to support the team and believe it's worth their while.
We get great media coverage in television and newspapers. We use it for corporate PR, and it's good internal PR. The people who work on the magazine feel pretty good about having their own car going around the race circuits of the world.
Now, some people say you're taking quite a risk, wouldn't they? I mean, a lot of other British sponsors are playing a wait-and-see game. Let's see how the team get on in Brazil.
I think anything you do in business is a bit of a risk, and it's, if you spend money on advertising, it's a bit of a risk. You don't know what it's going to achieve. You don't quite know what it's going to achieve in sponsorship, but so far it seems to have worked for us.
The safety of a Formula One car is a top priority. With bills mounting up and having spent £100,000 building a chassis, smashing it into a brick wall may seem rather bizarre and a bit of a waste. But every Formula One design is put through this routine to see if it meets rigorous safety standards. These horrific accidents last season show what can happen. Stringent safety tests and standards means that every driver involved in these crashes lived to drive another day. Safety comes at a very high price. So let's do some sums as to what it's likely to cost. Well, the original car cost around £700,000. Tyres for the season will cost £500,000. The Ilmore engines will cost £2 million. And the team's travel and hotel bills will be about £500,000. So months of gruelling work and millions of pounds later, will they do it and do it well?
I honestly believe, from a technical point of view, for getting drivers, for getting money, that the car we've got is capable of being in the top six. I mean, the team is obviously the new bit that's got to come in and be structured strong enough as a team to do a good job. We might let it down, but I believe the actual technical package we've got is good enough to be a top six, providing we get in right and we develop it and work on it, yeah.
So after just a few days of testing, the cars are off to Brazil to compete in their first ever Grand Prix. Whatever happens, everyone in the team will have to learn an enormous amount very quickly. We'll be joining them later on in the season to see how they fared.
In next week's Top Gear, Toyota refreshes its rally-winning Celica. Triumph recreates a classic with the new Speed Triple. And Land Rover's in Elephant Country on the Hannibal Trail.
This year's Grand Prix season is previewed in the April issue of the BBC's Top Gear magazine.